Sorry.
Talking to this little guy here.
No. I can just throw it away. Okay, folks, thank you. Thank you for being here. Just wanted to report on, at one time for all media, so we didn't have to do this multiple times, on our meeting with the Premier this morning. A very cordial and productive meeting to talk about the province's desire to be bold in the province of Ontario and to build our province, and Hamilton's desire to be bold as well and to help build our community. And I think we're on the same page in terms of that desire, and the Premier was very supportive of what we're doing here in Hamilton. On the transit funding side, the Premier, as well as Minister Del Duca, who we met shortly thereafter, both confirmed their commitment to 100% capital funding for LRT. They, by virtue of that, have said we don't want to put a number on it because it may go up or down depending on what the design costs are. So I think that's good news for the City of Hamilton. I think that clearly identifies that they have a strong commitment for transit funding in Hamilton. What they also asked is to tie it to the rapid express rail proposals that are currently in the works in many communities as well as in Hamilton, to interconnect our transit with the rapid express rail, which makes perfect sense, or GO, which makes perfect sense. So they also indicated that we would get a better idea in terms of timelines in 2 or 3 months. So we're going to work together between the city and the province and Metrolinx, talk about timeline issues. My inference to her was that I have committed to this community a process where we get citizen engagement on transit in Hamilton. They're very supportive of that. They understand that that's my intent to bring forward to this council. Notwithstanding that, they're saying that they are committed to LRT funding for the City of Hamilton. So base funding for that, to my understanding, is about $811 million, is the most recent number that I can call. So you could expect that that's the order of magnitude, but it isn't number specific in terms of what we talked about. We also talked about U.S. Steel and the concern over pensions, which they share, the pensions in our community. We did outline for them the economic harm that's coming as a result of changes at U.S. Steel, both for pensioners as well as in our broader community, as well as taxes. She fully understood that, and we left her with a briefing note on those issues. And we also talked about the potential land sales that are happening and how the province of Ontario might be able to help, and they certainly have offered to partner in with us, our Economic Development Department, the Provincial Economic Development, titled for which is, I don't know, Adrian, if somebody can, what's the title of their economic development?
The
Economic Development Corporation of Ontario, offering to assist because they see it as a much bigger issue than just Ontario. It's an international issue in terms of land and future uses. So we discussed that. And we also talked about housing and poverty and some of their initiatives in terms of poverty and how we might be able to have future partnerships on those issues and what we might be able to do, but nothing specific to come out of that, but certainly it's a high order priority for the City of Hamilton, and we raised that issue with her as well. And beyond that, that was the thrust of the discussion. So from my perspective, I thought it was a very positive meeting with both the Premier and with the Minister, Del Duca. We basically got the same message from both. It's clear that one of their high priorities is rapid express rail, or GO, sorry, regional express rail, or GO, electrified, is certainly one of their priorities, but did also indicate that Hamilton's priorities was on the list as well in terms of projects that needed to be supported and funded going into the future. So I came away with a very positive message. We did clarify the message that we were going to deliver to the media with the Premier before we left, and it's consistent with what I just told you. So again, a positive message. Chris, did you want to add anything else? Of course, Chris Murray was there with me, as was Chief of Staff Drina Omasic, And did you want to add anything to that?
I think you captured what we heard. I think the mayor has captured what we heard at both meetings. The point being, in the next couple of months, we're going to hear more specifically from the province in terms of their schedule of when projects will unfold. So in terms of that timing, that's something we'll await. But the mayor was clear about the citizens forum on transit, and but in terms of the question that council has asked for many months, 100% funding for the capital costs of B-Line LRT, we heard that that is the plan.
Just to be absolutely clear, then, the Premier specifically said LRT, 100% capital funding LRT, not rapid transit.
Unequivocally, yes.
Did you get that in writing? I'm a bit skeptical. It sounds like she's backtracking this afternoon. Did you get anything in writing, a memorandum of understanding?
No, not this afternoon, no. But, I mean, I was in the room, Chris was in the room, Chief of Staff was in the room. It was clear, it was unequivocal. I asked her multiple times. The answer was the same each and every time. I asked the same question of Minister Del Duca, and the answer was the same, fully committed to 100% funding for LRT. But I also explained to them that we are going to have a citizen engagement process that opens the door to all transit. And they were comfortable with that. Certainly, as you know, my hope is that LRT rises to the top as being the higher order, higher value transportation system for the City of Hamilton. They quite understand that it is not predicated on a congestion issue, although we can get out ahead of that if we do it sooner rather than later, but predicated on the economic uplift that comes with the higher order transportation. So, yeah, it was unequivocal, and no doubt in my mind that was the answer. My ask at the end of the meeting was, are you comfortable with us saying this publicly? And the answer was yes, we're comfortable with that.
Is there money in that $15 billion 10-year horizon for us necessarily?
Well, that's something we're going to work. That's going to be worked out in the next 2 or 3 months in terms of timing. I didn't get any sense at all that there was that we were being pushed out beyond a 10 or 15-year horizon. So. We were talking about immediate issues, and they have some immediate issues with regional express rail, and we have some immediate issues with LRT, and I didn't see the conversation vary from the immediacy of that. Now, you know, timing is everything, so we'll get a better understanding of how that all fits together in the next 2 or 3 months.
But you brought up the express rail quite a few times today in total. Is it your sense that that's the first priority for the money that's in the budget going forward?
No, I don't. They didn't put it into any kind of order. They just said it was one of their priorities, and you know, transit in other communities is one of their priorities as well. So, what they want to have happen, and this is a priority, is they want it interconnected. So that is a bit of a departure from where we've been, because the B-Line has not connected to GO Transit previously. And it's something that we're going to have to make part of the conversation as we move forward. So that was a change, and from my perspective, a positive change, because it's clear that it does need to be connected, and the sooner we do it, the better.
Mr. Murray, you were in the meeting, you've been in previous meetings, you've been on this file your entire time as city manager. What was different about this meeting compared to the summer meeting with the minister here in the mayor's office?
Well, as you know, Joey, the one thing that's different is that what I heard was straight from the Premier's mouth. So I've never attended a meeting before where a Premier had expressed exactly what I heard this morning.
And what was it that she stated to you exactly?
The Mayor said it, and I'll say it again. It's the question that Council's been asking for some time. Will the province fulfill its commitment to 100% funding for LRT?
Did they give you a definition of what 100% capital funding is? Did they describe that? Constitutes capital funding?
They did not get into specifics around that, no.
So was there any mention of whether the local taxpayer will be on the hook for any of that? Did you get into that level of detail?
No, but I think if you go back in terms of capital funding, and discussions have been taking place over the last 7 or 8 years, I mean, certainly capital funding relates to the construction costs, so meaning not just the equipment itself, but also the construction that has to take place along the B-Line corridor. So obviously disruption to the roadway itself. If there is a requirement to relocate utilities as a result, we would assume that to be part of the capital costs. Matters beyond that, though, that create opportunities for the city of Hamilton to replace infrastructure. That's where we'd have to get confirmation. I doubt in my heart that they are expressing an interest in paying for infrastructure that we would be replacing at some point in the future. But it would certainly create an opportunity to address that infrastructure when we are obviously constructing for the LRT.
No, you said it yourself. Council has wanted this answer for a long time. Did you get any sense of why today? Why like this? Why not have why in this meeting did they suddenly come up with the answer?
Because I'm persuasive. I don't know. According to the Premier, the words that she used are, they remain committed 100% capital funding to LRT. In their mind, they've never varied from that opinion. I think Minister Del Duca did indicate some vagueness when he came here last time. It was much more specific and clear today. I'm not going to surmise about why the change, other than the election's passed. We have a new term of council. They have a new mandate, and it's a good time to clarify some of the issues that have been vague and uncertain. And now is the time. I think that we certainly need clarity, and they need to provide clarity as well. So I think it just all came together today. On the capital, on the capital side, I mean, it was always been my understanding and belief, and I think that the capital cost is the capital cost for a basic system, basic transit LRT system. If we wanted to enhance stops and we wanted to go beyond the basics, that would be a capital cost that the city would bear. If there are capital costs that were triggered as a result of installing the project that didn't require the sewers to be replaced, that would be a capital cost borne by the project. Sewers that we are aware of that need to be replaced would be still our capital cost going forward. So I don't think it's particularly complicated from that perspective.
So on affordable housing, what was the substance of that discussion?
It was just a general discussion. I mean, she understands the problem. They've committed some funds, as I understand it, for affordable housing. She did compliment the City of Hamilton for doing better than most communities in terms of providing. But she certainly understood that it was a problem for our city, and without leaving it as passing the buck, did indicate that she was expecting more from our federal partners in terms of additional dollars to help offset the provincial demands on affordable housing and cities, actually.
They talked about integration of the two, express rail and whatever system we come up with for rapid transit. Are you simply talking about an interconnection between the GO station and our line, or were you talking about should we be doing the work in tandem with whatever we're upgrading?
Both. I think both. I think their inference was that they wanted to if we're going to have a civic engagement process, that we'd actually also engage on both of those issues. Clearly, connecting it to the GO line is part of that, and they're working on the electrification and speed of the regional express rail, and they see that conversation happening in tandem.
Kathleen Wynne, when she was giving the press conference this afternoon, mentioned that there had been discussion in Hamilton over LRT versus BRT, that sort of thing. And at council, we always hear that there's worry that back and forth is going to jeopardize the project. Did you get any sense when you were meeting with her today that she was aware of some of the debate that was happening and that was impacting the future of LRT at all?
Not in their minds, impacting. I mean, they're aware of the conversation that's been happening in Hamilton. They're aware that we have a unanimous resolution, although there may be others that have spoken out and said they're less supportive than they have been in the past. Notwithstanding all of that, they believe, if I can paraphrase, that LRT is the best option for the City of Hamilton. They're fully committed to it. So. And they're looking at it not just from a transit perspective, but from an economic uplift perspective. So I think that they're taking the same position that we are, that for us it's about avoiding future congestion and generating more tax revenue through new redevelopment along the corridor.
So you said you talk about timelines in the next couple of months. Will someone from the ministry come here, or how is that going?
I think it's a matter of our staffs working with Metrolinx and the province and defining what their timeline horizons are, and then they're working on their timeline issues, and I think part of it is budget. So their budgets are coming up. I think they're going to be identifying, the priority of the projects and where they sit in the scope of the work that they're going to do, and how then Hamilton would fit into that going forward. So I think getting clarity on that, whatever the answer is going to be helpful for Hamilton, no matter how we cut it.
And I just have one more question. What are you going to do as mayor to try to get the councillors who aren't in favor of LRT on board?
Well, we're still going to have a citizen engagement process. I'm not moving away from that. I think educating our broader community and all of our community about the differences between the different systems, BRT and LRT and regular transit, and having them understand why the economic uplift is important for the City of Hamilton, that it's about growing our transit system as a whole, not just a couple of lines downtown. I think that education process is going to be very helpful to inform everyone. And at the end of the day, I'm hoping that they'll understand it well enough to appreciate that LRT is the best possible investment for our city.
Mr. Mayor, last night the McMaster Student Union passed a motion expressing disappointment in Council's decision to remove the bus lane, but going a step further, asking that Council allow them to speak on February 6th when the transit proposal is brought forth. Under Council's rules, the public's not allowed to speak to the budget to near the end of the process after the major decisions are made. Would you support allowing the McMaster Student Union to delegate on transit on February 6th as they're asking?
From a procedural perspective, I'd have to look at that, but I'm always interested in hearing the voices in the broader community, so my inclination would be to say yes, but I need to check that procedurally with the clerk.
Are you going to bring back your citizen panel idea immediately now that you have this?
Soon, in the next month or two. I mean, we have to pull it together and then bring it to council, and I think that will happen, as quickly as we can make it happen. And then, hopefully we get on with engaging our broader community on the issue of LRT, BRT, and transit in Hamilton.
Affordable housing. Local affordable housing advocates are supportive of private members' bill for inclusionary zoning. Did you discuss that private members bill at all with the Premier today? No,
we had a total of 1/2 hour with the Premier, so we didn't get into details on that particular issue. Personally, I'm generally supportive of inclusionary zoning. I think it's a positive step to take to provide more opportunity for housing in our community. But that's something that we still have to bring to council at some point and wrap our heads around collectively.
Economic development, was there any discussion of how much it would cost to redevelop the U.S. Steel plant and how to come up with a vision for the use of those lands?
No, not specific to that. We talked about how the province could help the City of Hamilton in terms of understanding the issue, maybe reaching out to potential buyers that could help re-establish that commercial industrial base. And she offered to allow her, or offered to have her economic development division actually help our economic development department to further that end.
Two questions for Mr. Murray. One, is it time to bring back the rapid transit office?
Well, certainly in light of the comments that we heard today, we can assemble that office pretty quick. Let's just put it that way. If we're going to be able to, if we find out in the next couple of months the speed at which that the investment will be made in Hamilton, it will not take us very long to assemble the people to work on all the detailed designs and assist with the implementation.
But right now, who's the lead on that file? Who's day in, day out, the Premier wants to call?
Me.
So you're directly running the file?
I am the one that she can call, or any member of the provincial government can call in terms of answers to questions about LRT, and in terms of working on it on a day-to-day basis. Like I say, it's not hard to assemble the people and have them focus.
Did you get a sense, Chris, that there's money available in this current $15 billion tranche for our project?
I think what I took away from it all was a very clear statement from the Premier and from the Minister in terms of 100% funding, which has always been the question. And the second piece to that is that we're going to hear in a couple of months the schedule. And that will speak to when that money gets expended.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the $15 billion that's on the table now Hamilton may be included in that.
Yeah, I'm not. You can't. It's difficult to speculate. I think it would be. I certainly can't. And
it's not clear whether that Hamilton's included in the current $15 billion that's on the table.
That's why I think we have to see what happens in the next couple of months.
So it's not clear? Is that what you're saying?
To me,
I'm prepared to speculate. I mean, I didn't get any sense at all that we were not in the $15 billion funding
Yeah.
number. So, you know what, if it changes, that may happen, I don't know, but there's nothing that was said or indicated to me that led me to believe that we were, you know, beyond a 15-year horizon in terms of funding for this. So
there was...
we left them with a sense of urgency and immediacy. She said that they had the same sense of urgency and immediacy. So I expect that we will be in the funding regime sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, just further to that, there was no mention of 25-year plans or anything of that nature. That never was part of the conversation. That was never hinted or explicitly stated or anything. And, you know, when you look at Hamilton and the planning that's gone on here in terms of our land use plans, we have followed all the principles of smart growth. We are intensifying, following their targets. The allocation of that growth is along the corridor that this transit solution is being proposed, specifically LRT. And further to that, all of our plans are based on 2031 numbers. The province has 2041 numbers, which they're going to ask us to allocate, and it will just further intensify in built-up areas like the ones that we have in lower cities. So, you know, it's one of those. I mean, our population right now is 525,000. We're supposed to grow to about 660 by 2031, and I think about 750 by 2041. And 2041 may seem like a long time away. 2041 is 26 years, which in the transit world, that's not a lot of time.
Chris?
Is there any sense that your citizens panel is going to require council approval?
Of course, of course. Everything has to be approved by council, so we will pull the package together and we will bring it to council and we'll ask them to approve it.
Chris, there's a lot of people watching who want to be engaged in the transit discussion. When is the public going to see the transportation plan, the HSR plan being presented next Friday? Will we get it before the end of the week?
Yeah, I know it's our it should be our habit, if it's not already, in terms of seeing a presentation a few days before it takes place. I mean, certainly give council the same, obviously, heads up. I'll confirm with clerks as to when that information will be made available. I know the presentation has been worked on and is pretty much ready to go.
So you're hopeful, because it's going to be approximately $10 million. You're hopeful that the public will see it before the weekend and have time to give feedback to the councillors.
10 million.
So it's 10,000 extra hours of bus service. It's an average of $120 an hour for bus service. So it's somewhere above $10 million ask.
Yeah. No, it's an important discussion. I mean, it's so your fundamental question is, are you going to be able to see it before the day of the presentation? And put it this way, I can't see why not. But let me just work with our clerks and our staff just to make sure it happens. Andrew? Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, one of your councillors suggested he's going to, as soon as possible, bring forward a motion asking for council to reaffirm his position on LRT. How do you feel about that as far as timing?
Well, I would say that I think he'd be best to bring that motion after we've gone through the citizen engagement process. I don't want to preempt what the citizens might have to say about this. I don't want to preempt the opportunity to share information broadly throughout our entire community and get a better understanding. He has every right to do so, but I would advise against it until we've gone through the engagement process and come out the other side with hopefully a much better informed, engaged citizenry. Thank you.